Pray to the trap god. Let me get a placement. Let me get some bread on my plate. And let me make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment down below. Today, we're going to be doing a Trippie Red video. It's going to be a nice ambient beat with hard drums. I'll be taking you through this, guys. So let's just get straight into this. First of all, we got a preset from Pigment called Emotional Piano. When you guys look at this pattern, you might be like, whoa, a lot of stuff going on. But let me break this down, right? When I made this melody, I got the root notes, took it up an octave after that. Then I made this nice little repeating pattern, repeated it twice. And then after that, I just varied it up a bit. As you guys can see, the first two notes are the same, and change that. And the first two notes are the same again here, and then change these two. It was literally that simple. And then from there, I just decided to add a nice little top line and got it repeating. And then as you guys can see, a little switch up at the end to make it sound even more human. You know, Alt R plays with the velocity, Alt S to add some strum. This is what the melody sounds like. What I did, for effects, took off a bit of the high, a lot of the lows, as you usually do. Added some of that RC20, ducked the noise down a bit, then some Valhalla vintage verb, you know, to make it all space. Now, for the next thing, you might be wondering why I'm on the playlist. Well, as you can see, we have a reverse pattern here. So what I did was I got onto the melody, I Alt-Y'd it, I hit accept after I did Alt-Y, I rendered it out, and then I got my melody. I took it down the whole octave, which means like it's a whole one lower down. I reversed it, and what that does is it sounds like the melody playing normally, but just in reverse. So you don't have to do any of the extra work with like chopping it up in the player, moving it about, like it's like some Twister stuff all in the book. So you're chilling. And this is what the reverse melody sounds like. I think that sounds super nice, and I use this little part as like a layer towards the main melody. It just adds a little bit of ear candy. You can hit all these things going left, right, and center. But let me take you through the effect. I placed the EQ, took off a lot of the highs, a lot of the lows, like a telephone EQ, and then took off a harsh frequency I didn't like. Then added this thing from Portal called Grain Swells and took it down to, what is that? Like, I think it was like 43%. But it's a very nice effect. It plays with the pitch, as you guys could hear in the previous, like, play before, and it just sounds great. Then next, I drowned this mofo in reverb. A lot on the mix, a bit on the decay, but I drowned it. Next up, we got ourselves a bass pattern, and what I did was I copied the root notes over. As you can see, I just added a little extra note here to add a bit of bounce, and I just repeated it, and this is what the bass sounds like. As you can see, it's sounding very lovely, luscious, beautiful, crisp. That's how we like it. As for effects, I placed the EQ, took off a lot of the highs and very few of the lows. And then on top of that, I added the beefy preset in the bass on the capitator, and the only thing I changed is instead of having it on A, I changed it to E. I just found it made it sound much fuller, the bass, and I just really like it. Next up, we got a preset from Serum. It's called PL Secrets, and it's from the slushy. Oh, it's from a bag that I have, and I just thought it sounded really nice. As you guys can see, I just repeated the D note and then placed the G. It's a nice little counter melody. I laid it off quite far back in the mix. Sounds very nice. Add a bit more ear candy. This is what it sounds like. As you guys can hear, very simple, very basic, but in the grand scheme of things, it sounds very nice. As for effects, I took off a lot of the lows, a few of the highs, but a lot of the lows for sure. Placed the default chorus, mixed it at 64%, and then added very little reverb onto this joint. Now, last but not least, we got one more layer to this whole pattern, and it's the basic sign pad and purity. You'll find it under the bank of slow synths. What I did was I literally found whatever I thought sounded good. As you guys could see, the G and the D note, and I had it repeating, and all I did was play with the octaves. As you guys could see, the octaves got raised from the root notes up one, and then I added a little bit of variation. As you can see, just took it up to an A and then took it down to an A sharp at the end. But this is what this sounds like. As for effects, I added such a bandwidth EQ, took out so many of the highs and so many of the lows. Then next up, I got the Hala Vintage Verb, does the job, you know, a nice little reverb. Now with that all being said, I didn't play all of these different melodies together within a final mix of the track when I arranged it. However, I made sure that as I mixed it and as you guys saw throughout it, I made sure that frequencies didn't clash. Some were assigned to much higher frequencies like the pads, some were much lower, some were so much fuller. So that's how you always want to do when you're mixing your stuff. And you know what, like guys, if you want me to make a mixing tutorial, you know, let me know down there below. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know. But with all that, this is what the melody sounds like. When y'all hear this, you see what I mean? All the frequencies go well together. It sounds super ambient, super spacey. I can just hit Trippie Red just singing his guts out to this. Now, we're gonna get to the drums. First of all, we got our basic, you know, Lex Luger clap. And this is what it sounds like. Next up, we got this nice little hi-hat pattern I came up with. Very repetitive, simple, catchy to the ear. And this is what it sounds like. I don't think y'all want to hear me repeat that, and I know very well you don't. So let's move on to the next. We got ourselves a kick. You see how I did that? I maxed those velocities, of course, you can never forget that. And I laid down this beautiful pattern. I took it down from the note of C down to an A sharp because it just sounds better when I mix it with the 808s. And this is what the kick sounds like. That's what the kick sounds like. On to the next one. Now we've got ourselves the 808s. And what I did was, of course, I followed the root notes. I pretty much followed the kick pattern as well. As you guys can see at the end, I literally added a no note playing 808 because within the actual beat, there's parts where it'll switch up from the bass to the 808 and then you hear the frequencies clashing. So I did that so it can just stop it. This is what my 808 pattern sounds like. Sounds lovely, jubbly, tubbly, rubbly. Next up, I added the little cymbal to act as a crash, you know, a little bit of an ear candy again, and it sounds like this. Very standard, very basic, but it does the job. Then next up, I got an open hat pattern. It repeats every 2 bars. However, I change it up and down a semitone because I thought, let me just be a bit weird and quirky like that. And this is what it sounds like. Then at other parts in the beat, I decided to add this little Congo thing from Space Cadet. It's a perk that Weezy uses and a lot of other people such as like Metro. And this is what it sounds like. You know that guy in the videos where he's like... And then last but not least, I decided to add a tom fill just before beat drops, like after bridges or before the actual first chorus. And it sounds like this. And I think it just makes the beat completely whole. Now with all that being said, this is what the drums sound like. With that all being said now, you all have made it to the end of the video. This was the Trippie Red tutorial. I hope you all like it. I hope you're loving it. I hope you're feeling yourselves. Take it easy. You know all that stuff down below as per usual. And I'll see you guys later.